guys, welcome to the week 4 lecture. This week we're going to talk about paragraphs and paragraph development. It's going to be more important moving forward to our next couple of essays that we are able to develop a paragraph. So, a paragraph is a collection of related sentences dealing with a single topic. That's how our reading defines a paragraph. So, being able to develop your paragraph well helps keep your essay focused and keep your essay organized. And so that's why it's so important that we talk about this before we move forward to our next 2 essays. So the general rule is that you just want to have one idea per paragraph. So you want to have one idea, and then you would give related examples, sources, quotes, evidence, anything to describe that one idea. So you want to make sure that all of your points are relevant to this one main idea, which is the focus of this one body paragraph. Otherwise, it becomes too confusing for the reader if you stray and go off to different ideas. It's very important in a well-written essay that you have well-written paragraphs. So, where it says at the end, optional related points that are relevant to this idea, that would mean if you wanted to bring up a new idea that was still related, maybe you're transitioning to another idea that maybe you're going to discuss in the next body paragraph. However, if you feel like your paragraph is already getting lengthy, then you probably would want to wait and start that new idea in a new body paragraph. You never want it to be confusing for the reader. So next we're going to talk about the elements of a paragraph, or the characteristics of a paragraph. And all these things, unity, coherence, a topic sentence, adequate development, all of these will kind of overlap, but we need to talk about all of these when we are developing a well-written paragraph. So let's go into each one of them individually. So the first one, unity. That just means that we have a single focus for the paragraph, one main idea. Okay. The next one, coherence. That just means that we're making it understandable for the reader. So how can we do that? We can make sure that all the sentences relate to each other. Make sure that this paragraph relates to the other body paragraphs in your essay. You can use 2 different types of transitions that the reading goes over. One of them is logical bridges, the other verbal bridges. These are just 2 ways of transitioning within the paragraph to keep it coherent. So for example, for a logical bridge, that would be if you continue to mention the same idea throughout your body paragraph, wording most of your sentences with the same word or main idea of that body paragraph, making the ideas or the sentences or the phrasing you use in parallel form. So just making sure that you are repeating that idea so that the paragraph is coherent and unified. Another way of using transitions within the paragraph is using verbal bridges. This would be if we repeat key words or phrases throughout, or use synonyms for certain words so that you're not repeating the same word over and over again throughout. Another way you can do this is to use pronouns like he, she, they, it, instead of repeating the same word, but you want to always refer back to your main idea and just using other transitional words and phrases to help build coherence. Another very important sentence in our body paragraphs is our topic sentence. I think it's extremely important to start a paragraph with a topic sentence, especially if you're writing an argument essay or an analysis, because this will help guide your reader through your argument. So I think it's extremely important. So it's basically the gist of your paragraph in a sentence. So you will announce the main idea of your paragraph in this sentence. It can be placed anywhere in your paragraph, but I think for beginning writers, it's best to just do it early on. If it's not the first sentence, like maybe you use the first sentence to transition or kind of lead in or introduce that next body paragraph, you definitely at least want it to be your second sentence, because it's very important to announce what this paragraph is about and then build on that. Finally, it may not be stated clearly in a paragraph. Maybe you're reading an article and you don't see that each body paragraph begins with a topic sentence. And that's okay, as long as you can still tell that each paragraph is about one main idea and you can easily point that out. However, we are beginning writers, so we need to make sure that we're using topic sentences as an organizational tool and to guide our reader through our essay. Okay, and then finally, adequate development. Writing is an art, it's not a science. There's not an exact formula for a paragraph. And I'm sure you're starting to see that as you've done your reading over paragraphs this week. There's no set number of sentences required to adequately develop a paragraph. The common rule that I tend to follow is 5 to 7 sentences per paragraph, especially if you're writing an argument essay or an analysis. Or you can think of it as 2 to 3 paragraphs per page. And I think the reading even said 3 to 5 sentences for a paragraph. I think 3 sentences would not adequately develop a paragraph, but it also depends on your topic and what your essay, how it's going, and how you have organized the other body paragraphs. But definitely, I would aim for your next couple essays around 5 sentences. Now, you never want to, in the process of writing your draft, be thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I need 2 more sentences for this paragraph. Like, don't fret. Just make sure that you've developed it and that you have all the information in the body paragraph that you wanted to include. But don't count each sentence of each paragraph, because there isn't really an exact number that anyone can tell you. Shorter papers tend to have shorter paragraphs. And in this class, we're not writing long research papers. So your paragraphs will tend to be shorter in here, but maybe in your next composition course, you'll be writing longer papers and your paragraphs may be longer. And then finally, as far as the introduction and the conclusion, just a good way or rule of thumb is you would never want your conclusion and introduction to be more than 25% of the length of your entire essay. And that means combined. Combined, the introduction and conclusion together should be less than 25% of your essay. The bulk of your essay should be your body paragraphs, because those are the arguments you're making and your main points that you're supporting with your thesis statement. And then finally, just some rules of thumb on when to start a new paragraph. Hopefully, before you start drafting, you jot down an outline and get organized, and so you already have this planned out. But depending upon the topic and what you're writing about, sometimes it can be challenging to decide when you should start a new paragraph. So obviously the first time is when you have a new idea. If you're moving on to a new main point, then start a new body paragraph. Maybe you want to contrast a previous idea with a new idea. The best thing to do there is to break off and start a new body paragraph. Maybe you are writing a long research paper and you need to provide a break for the reader just because it's a lot of information and you feel like your paragraph is very long and full, then maybe you can find a logical place to divide that. And finally, when moving between sections, and that would mean like, here's my introduction. Now I'm going to start a new paragraph for the bodies paragraphs. And then finally, your conclusion obviously would be a new paragraph as well. So the best thing to do before you start writing an essay is to just jot down an outline. It doesn't have to be like a formal outline with Roman numerals and letters and numbers. All you need to do is just jot down your main points that you want to make. That way you can have that next to you when you begin writing, and then you already have planned out what each one of your body paragraphs are going to be about, and then you can follow that as you write, and that will keep you organized. So go ahead and take your reading quiz for the week. Reach out if you have any questions, and I hope everyone has a great week.